The show starts in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Drippy Faucet Podcast. Today, your host, Jesus Flores, also known as J Flo, is talking to a very intriguing educator / entrepreneur. His name is Angel Hernandez. He's an amazing person. I'm so excited for this conversation, and I guarantee you there's a lot of gems in this, and you will love this conversation. Tune in, guys.
Scholar Gamer Nerd, my guy, stands for knowledge, fun, and intellectual curiosity.
Okay.
I think if I can encapsulate it in a few words.
So if you're a real nerd, I think it's only proper to begin with the question, which is, what is your favorite book?
My favorite book,
and why?
Yeah, for sure. My favorite book is The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz. And it's my favorite novel specifically because it builds on this idea of the ghetto nerd. The main character is depressed. It's an omniscient narration. So the narrator knows like all of the characters' thoughts. It's a very well developed book, and it takes place in like an inner city environment in New Jersey. And there's like the whole immigrant struggle from the Dominican Republic to Jersey. So I could relate a lot to it, man.
And I feel like you can strongly relate to that book because of where you're from. Do you mind telling our audience where you're from?
Yeah, for sure. So I was born in El Salvador.
In El Salvador?
Yeah.
And at what age did you come from El Salvador?
Yeah, so I lived in El Salvador from 0 to 7. And then I moved to LA at the age of 7.
At the age of 7. So where in particular did you move into LA?
Yeah, so my family settled in this street called Canfield and National, like right there by Alexander Hamilton High School. Shout out to the Yankees.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like, it's not quite mid-city LA, but it's not like full-blown West LA.
Okay,
you know?
All right. So at that point of your life, which was your favorite restaurant?
Yeah, man. So at that point, my family, it's LA. There's a lot of cultural diversity.
Okay.
Campos Tacos.
Campos Tacos.
Yeah, Campos Tacos.
Hey, that kind of rhymes a little bit, no?
Campos Tacos, sure, maybe.
Not really.
Syllabically, I mean, it works. Yeah, man, they have like the best, they call it macho burrito. So I would get a macho burrito de asada with sour cream, guacamole, and the sauce they would put on the burrito, the wet burrito, is just delicious, dude.
Bomb as hell. Have you ever tried the wet burritos from King Taco?
Nah, I haven't.
Do they compare at all? Well, I guess you haven't even tried them, so you don't really know.
Can I be real, bro? Like, the only King Taco I've been to is the one right there on Pico and I think Alvarado. And
Pico and Alvarado?
I wasn't really like blown away.
For sure.
TBH. No disrespect. King Taco.
Tacos Gavilan.
Oh, Tacos
Gavilan is actually my favorite, bro.
Right there in Southgate?
It's everywhere. Southgate, HP, everywhere in LA, etc. So, moving forward, I think you also moved to a different town as you became a teenager. Where was that? And why was that? Why did you guys move from LA to the next town?
That's a great question. So just to backtrack a little bit, 0 to 7 El Salvador, 7 to 14 LA, like central West Los Angeles, and then 14 to like 21-ish, my family moved to East Lancaster, which is like a suburb, I guess, on the outskirts of Los Angeles, because they bought a home. They wanted to achieve their American dream home. And so they got a home, so we moved out to Lancaster.
Excellent. What did you do in Lancaster that allowed you to further explore who you were as a early adolescent teenager?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. So, Lancaster is an interesting place because it's called the high desert, like geographically it's in the desert. So there's not a lot to do, you could say. There's only one mall. There's a lot of desert Joshua trees, a lot of like empty lots. So for me to pass time, I decided to join the football team.
Okay.
I decided to join the football team. They had a very good team at the time, a lot of talented players. And it was a way for me, I guess, to stay busy, stay fit, learn, about self-discipline, character building. And on the side, I played video games. I played a lot of video games like San Andreas, FIFA, bro,
I love FIFA, bro. I'm at it.
Of course.
So, you played a little bit of football.
Yeah.
And you said that it taught you a little bit about discipline.
Yeah.
How do you think that what you learned in those couple years, how do you think that translates into your now adult life?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I was so I attended Antelope Valley High School. Shout out to my Lopes out there. I remember Coach Fleming. He was our head coach at the time, and we had several other great coaches as well. But I remember, like, for him, failure was not an option. Like, you couldn't quit. Like, quitting was not an option. He always preached, like, winners never quit, quitters never win. And I remember one particular moment, I believe it was my senior year. I wanted to give up on playing just because I wasn't getting any play time. It was a losing season. And I was like, man, forget this. Like, I don't want to play anymore. And I talked to him about, hey, coach, I think I'm going to quit the team, He was like, what? So he paused, he pulled me off to the side, and he was like, why? I was like, I'm just like, I didn't really have a reason, except for, like, I wasn't getting playtime. And he was like, nah, dude. He's like, every player on this team matters. Like, everyone's important. He's like, even if you're on the practice defense, like, you got to give our starters good reps. Like, your position on this team matters. Even if you're not on the field on the front page, it matters. And then he went on to tell me, and this was Coach Fleming, I hope this is cool with you. I'm just going to put it out there. If I remember correctly, he was getting a divorce at the time.
Whoa.
Which is pretty heavy stuff, like just saying that kind of hurt my heart for him, because right. I recently got married, right. And I wear this ring proudly. So he had a 5-year-old son. He would bring him to practice, and he tells me, I'm getting a divorce right now, son. He's like, you think I want to be here right now? He's like, I might not see that kid every day anymore. And that kind of hit me, like, that's his son, dude, and I was like, all right. He's like, you don't quit. He's like, don't quit on us, man. And I knew he wasn't, like, forcing me to stay on. He was just, like, trying to teach me that a real athlete doesn't quit, so
no matter what,
you
start strong, you finish strong.
Yeah, exactly. And so, hey, shout out to Coach Fleming. I don't know if you'll ever see this, Coach, but you probably don't even remember having this talk with me, but it really impacted me deeply for the rest of my life.
Shout out to all the coaches out there going to practice every day, motivating their kids. And you never know, man. You might reach out to a kid that has nothing, and you might inspire them to pursue something greater in life. Shout out to all of the mentors and coaches out there. There was something really important that you mentioned through that story, and it was the fact that an adult became vulnerable to a child.
Yeah.
And I think we live in a society where adults really don't value children. Or better yet, we don't treat them as wholesome individuals. And oftentimes we want to act abusively towards them by not allowing them to know who we truly are. And in that moment, that coach, in order to save you and continue to have you as a contributing player in the team, even though you didn't play, he became vulnerable and even told you about his personal life. Yeah. And said something as crazy as, dude, my wife wants to divorce me. And I feel like that created some sort of identity that allowed you to be like, you know what? I understand this guy. He's going through something. I'm going through something. What if I just stay with him and the team to make sure that we complete the season as successfully as possible?
Yep. Yeah, dude. 100%. I think that, I decided to stay on, because he became human to me. It was humanizing to see him, because you think about, you're a teenager, you think about adults as like people who have everything figured out, and you realize that couldn't be further from the truth. Right. So it was very special, man, to see him just open up like that. Even though it was brief, dude, it probably was like a 2-minute conversation, but it hit me like a ton of bricks. And it was like, bro, stop being scared, stop being like a quitter, and just keep it pushing. So, yeah, that was dope.
Okay. So you told me a little bit about football. You told me a little bit about your coach's experience. Now I want you to go ahead and tell me, what is one thing that you wish you knew as a child, that you know now, that would have possibly made your life a lot better as a kid or a teenager?
Everything. Now I'm just playing.
Makes sense. But if you can think of like one particular idea, principle, anything that maybe you've learned along the way from a professor, a book, a friend, a mentor, etc.
Yeah, man. I think the biggest lesson I wish I would have had as a kid, as a teenager, is to just accept yourself and your reality, and don't let it define you. Like, don't let your circumstance, particularly if it's a bad situation, like if you're just in a dark, negative place, don't let that define you. Don't let that become you. You know, I think that's the biggest lesson that I would say. Like, do not let your oppression, do not let your if you're in an abusive household, if you're having mental health issues, if you are having insecurity issues, you have anxiety, I don't know, whatever you're dealing with, do not let that define you and become you, because it's your story and you can use that negative and turn it into a positive. I think that's the biggest lesson. Just basically self-acceptance. Accept who you are, your identity, embrace it, live it, love yourself, because this world is a cruel place, but it can also be a beautiful place.
I just want to go ahead and say those were amazing words. And I think that if you're a teenager anywhere out there, or a younger child, listen to that, live by those words. And so I understand how difficult that might be, because it kind of just sounds like maybe even a fairy tale, right? Because you might be struggling and nothing seems right. You have depression, you have anxiety, and you're taking all these different medications to feel better. And so what would be a realistic approach for someone listening to this and saying like, man, you're crazy. There's no way I can just go ahead and go outside. Man. Exactly. What would be one thing that walking away from the show, a kid can just say like, I can do this today and I'm going to know that I'm going to be better because of it?
Yeah. I think one practical way to deal with your problems, be they personal, social, psychological, whatever it is reach out for help. Like, tell somebody. I know it sounds simple or it sounds silly, but really, like, tell somebody. If it's not a parent, an adult in your household, if you don't have a relationship with that person, find your uncle, your cousin. If you don't have those, find a friend, a homie, homegirl, a confidant, somebody that you trust, because in telling your story, you're essentially sharing your pain. They're carrying it with you. So like, you no longer have to bear that pain alone, number one. So tell somebody, please. If you have nobody to tell me, tell us, drop in our comments, bro. Trust me, like, nothing is beyond the scope of our empathy, you know?
Beautiful.
So that's number one. Number two is, this is the scholar in me. This works for me. Read, dude. Educate yourself. Read a lot. This is one of my favorite books. It's it's in the self-help section. I think they call it self-transformation now, self-improvement, whatever. It's called The 4 Agreements: A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom. This is not a sponsored video. Nobody paid me to say this, but this is a book that my mentor gave me. You know, the abbot himself gave me this book, and I literally remember there just being an intellectual shift, which transform my feelings, right? Because your mind really guides your feelings, right, and everything thereafter follows. Mm-hmm. So reading this, reading the 4 Agreements really helped me to understand the logic behind my actions, my fears, my anxieties, and like now I'm passing that knowledge on to my friends, my family, my students. So yeah, tell somebody and read. It's not that crazy. Maybe go to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know that for me, it's
which
like
we were doing earlier, by the way.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Hey, no. Yeah, go to the gym, work out.
Yeah. And you know what? I was just reflecting earlier as I was hitting the gym. I was thinking to myself, and I was like, when I make it, everyone in the hood is eating with me. And so the reason why I bring that up is because working out is a great way to not only work out your body, but work out your mind and your spirit. It almost hits all three at the same time. My idea is all that self-positive talk that's going into your mind and your spirit as you're pumping those weights eventually helps create and manifest your new reality. Which in a sense, working out helps you not only transform your body, but it helps you transform your mind.
Right.
And so it's really important that we use all the tools that we can to change who we are.
Yeah.
Especially coming from where we come from.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
All right. So I don't want people to just think of us as like, oh, well, you're just successful. You don't want to go ahead and talk about your low points. What about that? So I want to ask you, what is one thing that you failed at that you not necessarily wish you could go back and change, because I'm sure you're happy with how life has ended up anyways, but what is one story that you failed at and you like to kind of talk about?
That's a great question. Well, I've failed a lot. I've taken a lot of L's in my life, but I think one major L that turned into a W eventually was when I dropped out of New York University's doctoral program. So a lot of people don't know that about me, but in spring 2013, I was admitted to a fully funded PhD program at New York University, which was insane. Like people rarely jump from undergrad straight to the PhD, but I had done enough, to merit that privilege. And I was pumped, dude. I was like, yo, I'm gonna live in New York City. Like, what? Like, man, this kid from El Salvador, raised in LA, now in New York. Like, I'm taking over the world.
It's truly a success story.
It is. And then the depression kicked in. Like, I realized that I was alone. I realized that I wasn't happy. I realized that I had been living a life that wasn't really meant for me.
Mm-hmm.
That I was just essentially just following orders, just kind of like, yeah, sure, dude, like you should do this, you should do that. And I wasn't satisfied. I wasn't happy. I think a lot of it was like my own personal anxieties and stuff like that. But the other side too was that like I wasn't really living my dream. You were
living somebody else's dream.
I was living somebody else's version of an intellectual reality for me. And I think that's why I always tell kids, like, create your own reality. Like, find your own vision of your life, because if not, life will find it for you. And I'd rather be the captain of my own ship, not in like a reckless way, not in like I'm going to be doing whatever I want, but like in a carefully calibrated way. Because for me, like, I had literally people telling me, yo, go to Berkeley. Like, you got people there, like everything's good. And I was like, nah. That was a master's program. It was less money. Like, I followed the money. I followed the hype.
Okay.
Right? Like, New York City, bro. Like, are you serious? Like, it's the coolest city in the world, man, besides LA.
The history, etc., the musicians,
everything.
The street life.
The streetwear, it has Supreme New York started there, right? So I'm like, yo, I want to be there. And then I realized, like, yo, that wasn't me. Like, that wasn't for me. God, the universe, has something else for me that I was like running away from here in LA. Mm-hmm. So naturally, right, the universe, the law of attraction, will bring you to your natural habitat, which is, for me, I would say, is LA. Yeah, mm-hmm. I hail from El Salvador, right? But I think LA for me is like my adoptive home. And I embrace it, and I love it, and this is where I want to toil and grind and sweat and bleed and leave it all on the field. This is my field,
Absolutely. And to connect with that story, I have something very similar. 2014, 2015, I'm in Chicago, and I'm actually organizing. And so it was really interesting because I appreciated the city. It was beautiful. I had some of the most fun I've ever had. But I felt really disconnected, bro. My roots of myself. Yeah. It just felt like I wouldn't be able to blossom into who I was destined to become. Right? And so that was my sign that I had to come back. I'm not from LA. I'm actually from Huntington Park. the 323. I rep that till I die. But we're in the LA County, so there's still like a strong connection. Plus, like I literally live on the border of like South Central and HP. So LA is definitely feels like a home to me. But I also feel like it's sort of an injustice for me to claim LA because that would be wrong. And so instead, I claim HP, and whoever knows. The point is that when I was in Chicago, as much as I appreciated being there, it was just like I didn't feel like I was at home. And because I didn't feel like I was at home, I felt like I wasn't gonna become who I needed to become, right? So I said, let's go back to HP, and surely enough, bro, I came back. I would walk the streets and I would feel that love.
Yeah.
And it's crazy for me to talk about that love because everyone in the neighborhood pretty much depreciates where we're at. They depreciate the culture, they depreciate the streets because it's a little dirty, etc. Right. But I felt differently. Right. I felt like this is the place that I love. This is the place where I want to grow. And better yet, this is the place that I want to be able to empower, change, and inspire. You know, those are the things that a lot of people forget, bro. Right. You get a little ins here and there, and then all of a sudden you want to forget about where you're from.
Right. Hey, man, I feel that 100%. Like, you know, I found myself in a similar space in New York where, like, before dropping out, that people were more concerned about, like, titles. Mm-hmm. And net worth, which is important. It matters in our society.
I suppose so.
But to me, it's more important to be able to humanize and inspire somebody, you know. And I don't mean to get on any like religious or like, you know, super like righteous talk,
spiritual, etc.
Yeah, man. I just mean it from a human to human standpoint. Like, in an ideal situation, I should be able to go to a different city and respect that city, you know. Show them love, you know, find common ground, you know. And so I think, to go back to your point, home is home. Embrace who you are. Like, don't have fear of being you, you know, because if you can live with you, how do you expect them to live with you?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Like, you got to know how to live with you. And I love what you said about going back and empowering your community, you know, which is why I'm a big fan of like folks like David Grossman, Nipsey Hussle, and anyone who goes back, you know, or actually he never left. I don't think he ever left. You know,
he just started growing his base.
Yeah, he
at home.
Turned the negative into a positive, and I think that's what our society needs with everything going on. You know, we need leaders, or rather entrepreneurs, who are willing to embrace like those who get forgotten. You know, because it's easy to be like, yeah, man, like, I'm a fan of this big successful corporation company. Like, that's cool because they're winning. But what about the kid who's losing? What about the quiet kid? What about the kid who's getting bullied? What about the kid who wants to be more out there, more outgoing? Like, who's gonna put on for them? You know,
right?
And that's why I create. That's what this is. This is for all the underdogs. You know.
So you created SGN to empower a community of youth who somehow relate back to being a nerd and being a scholar and ultimately knowing that they're also cool. But I want to know why you created SGN.
That's a great question, dude. You know what's funny is that I'm so blessed to be in a position where the people around me love me so much that they just like I could have created like a cookie company and be like, sick, dude, like, let's eat it. So everyone just shows love, you know. No one's asked me why, though, you know.
Yeah, because it's important to think about why we do things.
Yeah.
Not just because one day I woke up and I just feel like messing around. There's a deep reason for us pushing these narratives that nobody else is gonna push unless it's us. We want this, so we're gonna go after it.
Yeah, most def. Yeah, man. So to answer your question, honestly, I was inspired. So in fall of 2016, I received a phone call, you know, from an excellent educator in South LA to work at Animo College Prep Academy, which is a partnership campus with the Jordan High School, right? which is our workplace, for those of you who don't know. And when I received that phone call, I was working on my CBEST, right? The entry level test you got to take. And there was a lot going on in my life. I was kind of like still transitioning back to LA. I was like this college graduate who was confused and depressed. And I got an opportunity from a principal there, and I started working there. And I realized that all of the stereotypes, right, of underfranchised or disenfranchised communities, underprivileged communities, like a lot of them are just not true, you know? And so for me, I gave myself permission to go in there like somebody who's here to learn, right? Okay. Somebody who's here to serve.
Not as an expert.
Yeah, not as an expert, right? Like, yeah, I'm a college graduate. Yeah, like I have a credential now. Thank God, I just got my credential. But I went in there like, yo, like let me find out what this community of Watts, what these kids are about, as opposed to like, oh God, like this is the inner city. So I gave myself permission to just view the kids as I humanize the kids, you know. I don't know this community. I don't know what they go through, so I'm not there to judge. And when I started actually listening with intent and care, I realized that, going back to your earlier point, that youth have a tremendous wealth of knowledge, right? They have probably one of the deepest funds of knowledge. Youth, kids, boys, girls, they have a lot of wisdom. They have a lot of jewels. It's just not fully hashed out, and they don't articulate it the way we want. So for us, it's like, yeah, kids, shut up. So back to freshman year, starting my job as a teacher. What the heck am I doing? I'm a teacher in the hood. I'm teaching English. Oh my God, these kids are driving me crazy. Which they weren't. They were just kids who needed structure, right?
Structure, but with love.
With love, for sure, with love. Like, not from a punitive place. And they kept telling me like, yo, mister, you play video games? I'm like, yeah, I play Pokemon. Okay, all right. Like, hey, mister, have you heard of Fortnite? And I was like, I have. You know, they're like, every day, bro, mister, have you heard of Fortnite? I'm like, bro, I'm playing God of War right now. Dog, chill.
Right.
Chill. I'm into RPGs. I'm more sophisticated than that, right? I was being like the know-it-all. Or so I thought.
Yeah, right? Because of your relative position of power made you feel like, that's some little kid stuff.
Right.
I'm playing the adult game.
Yeah. I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, bro.
Right.
You know, and PlayStation 3. I was playing Donkey Kong Country on Super Nintendo, bro.
So, we were discussing the merits and the background of SGN.
Yes, sir.
Right? And how it started, how the kids kept poking at you, talking about, hey, do you play Fortnite? Yeah. No, I don't, because I'm actually far too grown to play Fortnite.
Right. Or so I thought, right? So I remember being, you know, it's kind of like I remember when the iPhone first dropped, and it started moving fast, and then suddenly like it seemed like it took a few months, maybe a year, and then the whole world had an iPhone, or at least those who could access it. Mm-hmm. You know, I just remember being like, yo, like what is it? Or Pokemon? I don't know if you remember Pokemon.
Are you too young for that?
Just like, you know, like the yellow version, blue version, red version, right?
Of course,
like,
Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
Game Boy prior to the color.
Do you remember that?
Game Boy Advance.
Remember that feeling?
What?
Or are you too young?
I gotta keep it real with you. My parents never really had the means to afford that sort of gaming for me. In fact, the first gaming console I got was a Nintendo 64.
Hey.
And we bought that, bro, in the callejones in LA.
Let's go.
On some special stuff, bro.
That's legit.
We're going through the callejones, and I'm just like, dude, Dad, Mom, I really want this. And for a long time they were just like, no, mijo, you know, we can't afford it. And honestly, man, it was like God spoke to them and said, hey, your kid, just get your kid this damn console. And they got it for me, and for a long time I was like, yo, is this like a bootleg version of it because it's in the callejones? Thankfully it was not.
It played GoldenEye, 007 GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, man, that's exact. So I feel you. I respect that. So for me, bro, it was like the kids kept poking at it, and eventually I tried it. I tried it out, and I was having a blast. right? Playing duos, squads, solo, and I was like, yo, this game is cool. Like, there's teamwork, there's collaboration, there's communication, like all of the tangibles and intangibles that we want from our students, right? From our employees, from our leaders in our society, right? So I realized that, yo, this is a cool game. This is special. I've never played anything like it, right? Naturally, the scholar in me, right? Hence the S in the name of my movement. I did my research. I started looking it up, and the net worth was like $1 billion at that point or something. Right now, I think it's like upwards of 10 billion or something like that.
Wow.
Right? And I was like, yo, like this is like a business. This is like a very successful, thriving business, right? Then I'm like, are people actually living off of this? So kids tell me about streamers. Like, yo, have you heard of streamers? You should stream, mister. You should stream. I'm like, me stream? I'm like, dude, I'm 29 years old. I'm a teacher. I'm supposed to be angry at life and hate my life and complain that my salary sucks and that my students are horrible people and that why couldn't I have been a doctor? Why couldn't I, like I'm supposed to be complaining about life, right? So I look up Ninja and I find out this dude's making like $500,000 a year. I look up these other kids. I find out that like they chose not to go to college in order to play video games. And then I'm realizing something. I'm like, whoa, like this is special, but this is also sketchy for kids.
Sketchy in what sense?
In the sense that it might give false hope to the wrong kids, right? Especially like a poor kid, right? Like if you're a poor kid, right? Like you don't really have the capital, the financial freedom to mess up, right? To like take 24 months off to like build your channel, build your stream. It's called a safety net, right? In economics, you don't have that safety net. So I was like, got it. I was like, I'm gonna create a movement. Now that I'm financially stable, that I'm in a better place, I'm gonna create a movement that is conscious about the industry of gaming, that prioritizes academics, or at least learning, right? Maybe it doesn't have to be in a traditional environment, but just learning, right? And that embraces the idea of being a nerd, no matter where you come from, right? You can be a nerd and be an athlete, right? You can be a nerd and be have been the kid who got bullied. You can be a nerd and be an artist. Like everyone is nerdy at something, right? It doesn't just have to be like the perfect computer science coder, mechanical engineering kid. So I wanted to disrupt that narrative, right? You can be from anywhere, right? Whether you're from like the smallest farm town in Wisconsin to like the most rugged neighborhood in South Central, right? To the farm, the onion fields in Central Valley, you know, to like
random plains in Iowa.
The plains in Iowa, dude, to like Brooklyn, New York, to like Florida, wherever you're from, whatever your class, your race, your gender, like doesn't matter, like you can be a nerd. And I really wanted to drive that point home with SGN, because at one point I was told I couldn't be a nerd. You know, I was told like, no, you can't be a nerd. Like nerds don't look like you, bro. And I was like, wait, but like I like to read, man. Like I just haven't had the chance. So for me, SGN is bigger than me.
Right.
Right? It's for the underdogs, right? It's for the kids who like feel hopeless, who feel like nobody cares about them or nobody's like listening to them. I'm listening. And I played Fortnite, right? It took me a while, but I played Fortnite. I love it. Now I'm streaming, right? We're listening. We're, at least millennials are. I don't know about the generation above us. We're listening to you guys. You know, whether you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, early college, we're listening. We're taking notes, and you guys have something to contribute. That's the point of SGN, right? My motto is scholar first, get your education, learn, empower yourself through knowledge, gamer second, right? Meaning that like then you figure out your gaming, right? Just get your money right first, then the gaming. Nerd always nerd out. That's what it is, man.
What do you see in the near or distant future of SGN?
Yeah, you know that's a great question. I was always taught to be humble, you know, in my life. Like yo, like stay humble, mijo. Like sé humilde, you know. That means be humble in Spanish, right?
Okay.
And I realized that stay humble doesn't mean don't have big dreams. You know, so humbly, I will say that I envision SGN becoming a fully developed esports organization, fully, or rather, a comprehensive curriculum package that can be, sold to different districts from an entrepreneurship and digital content creation lens. And I imagine it being like a top streetwear competitor, like it being like a staple item in every gamer or nerd's household. Like the same way you drink a Coke, right? You can find a Coke in China, you can find a Coke in Placito Vera, right? That's what SGN, I envision it, or that's what I envision SGN becoming. Like one of the biggest, most powerful, incredible, humble, we keep it cool, we'll talk to anybody.
Right.
Right. Movement to ever exist.
And who do you see today, streetwear wise, where you would like to be, not necessarily them, but who you might aspire to be like?
Well, like if it was all about the money, I would probably say like Supreme.
Okay.
Right. If it was all about the money, but if it was all about like the culture, I would say like the Hundreds.
Okay.
And I might get in trouble for saying that because they actually apparently they had beef at one point
between both of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but none of them are paying me. None of them sponsor me. Right. Green Dot sponsors me. Sponsors me too.
Let's get this.
Shout out to Green Dot. They don't really sponsor us, but they're our employer.
Yeah.
So respectfully, I say that, right? Like I don't mean it disrespectfully for either brand, but like if it was all about the money, like I would like to be like, spoken. It would be an honor to be spoken of like the way that people like praise Supreme, but it would also be a tremendous privilege to have the type of commitment and following that like the cultural diversity, when you go to the Hundreds' lines, I mean that diversity is insane, like not just like across race and class, but like across like different social groups, like that was really cool, even though like the Hundreds might not be like if you ask your average hype beast, like, oh, the Hundreds is burned out, it's played out, like, but if you ask a really intelligent individual who thinks about life as nuanced and complex, like you realize that. So yeah, man, I say that humbly, like I hope to be a movement that is limited edition, that something that you go out of your way for. I don't want it to be like and I really mean this, like I don't want it to be at a department store. I don't want my stuff at a major department store that you can just go pick it up anywhere, because we're not just anything. You want
to have your own personal shop, place where people can come intentionally, perhaps of meeting yourself, getting a picture, and obviously purchasing some sort of awesome SGN figure, shirt, sweater, hat,
swag.
As you can see, right?
Yeah. That's kind of like, and I say that humbly, dude. Like, I think we're in an era where like athletes and people, like different economies are being disrupted, right? Like whether it's education, whether it's digital content creation, whether it's sports, like different economies are being disrupted. I think for mostly for positive, and so for me, I want to be a part of that. Like I want the underdogs to win. Like I dream of being in a position one day to offer my friends, my colleagues, like careers with SGN, and especially I dream of offering my students. Like that's the holy grail for me, bro. Like if I can hire a student, like you were in my class, like like just being a knucklehead,
what
and then
special
we figured it
connection
out.
that is.
That to me is the holy grail of SGN.
Absolutely.
That's SGN at its finest.
So let me tell you, or ask you better yet, what impact have you already noticed SGN having in the community of Watts?
Yeah, so in the community of Watts, which is where we serve as educators, I've seen like kids just show up by the dozens, bro, after school, right? When we have our tournaments, our Fortnite tournaments, or our Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tournaments, like, dude, like, you can't even walk. Like the classroom will be like 30, 40 deep, you know, on a good day, right? So that tells me, like, yo, there's a lot of interest in this.
Absolutely.
You're a high school teen, dude. You could be out there, chasing girls, or out there playing sports, chasing guys, whatever, chasing squirrels.
And it's important to just realize that kids don't even like being in school. They hate being in class.
Right.
Mainly because, the curriculum doesn't really cater to what they want to learn about.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have 30, 40 plus kids after school showing up to your room is a huge sign of the enlightenment, of the person-to-person connections that you're building, bro.
Thanks, man.
That's a beautiful sight. It's a beautiful sight. And I'm impressed by every person, not just educator, that's able to create a connection with kids, because oftentimes that's the only thing they got.
Yeah.
That's the only thing they got.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Like, our colleague Victor Lee, I think he taught me this, that he has this quote. I don't know if it's his quote, but I learned it from him, that the real work in education starts outside of instructional minutes. Right? Like, instructional minutes, that's like the cookie cutter path, right? That's the stuff that we give you. That's the standard, right?
That's what we get paid to do.
That's what we get paid to do. But what do you mean? And I realize now that what he means by the real work is that the stuff that changes your life, that stuff that helps you self-actualize, right? That stuff that helps you reach the top of Maslow's tier, right? So
the pinnacle of success.
The pinnacle of success, which is, you being able to view yourself in society, not just as an outsider. And I think I've had a ton of conversations with students, like, they open up after school, right? Or before school, or on the field trip, right? Like, about so many things, and you realize, like, that's why you couldn't focus last week, or like, that's your goal. Like, okay, let's nurture that,
right?
So it really matters. Like, kids, parents, mentors, educators, kids want your time, they want your attention, they want your genuine love. Give them that time. They need it. Like, the best thing you can do, in my opinion, with your son or with your mentee, somebody you care about, is just listen and humanize that.
Absolutely. To become a compassionate listener is what I'm listening. Yeah. Right? And again, going back to that, I definitely had people like that in my life.
Yeah.
Where they gave me that feeling like I mattered.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to make a better decision moving forward in life.
Yeah.
Do I join an organization that is going to cause turmoil and trauma? Or do I follow a path that's going to enrich my life? Not just economically, but spiritually, emotionally, and psychologically. Right?
Yeah.
And to expound upon that, that's another part of our channel, bro. Drippy Faucet Media. I want to make sure that people are capable of enriching their lives, changing their lives, and in particular, not just Chicanos, not just black folks, but everybody out there, everybody who's suffering today from some sort of trauma, some sort of like intergenerational, historical trauma. I want them to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and be able to say, you know what? Even though I can't imagine myself driving through this tunnel right now, I'm gonna have faith in myself, and I'm gonna have faith that eventually I'm gonna get through this dark time.
Yeah, 100%, dude.
So here's another question. It's still about like video gaming and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which was your favorite game as a child, and why?
Yeah. My favorite game as a child, bro, I love that question, is Pokemon Soul Silver and Pokemon Crystal version on the Game Boy Advanced. Because by that point, I was very lonely, dude. I was very like I was a sad kid. Like I would get bullied, you know, like by the tough guys, you know. And
Relatable.
and so for me, bro, it was like I got to engage in this alternative universe. You know, I got to like these Pokemon, like they became. It sounds weird, but they were my friends. You know, like they were my friends. Like and whenever Pikachu, you know, his HP was all the way down. Whenever he fainted, right?
You can feel that.
Yeah, you can feel it. You're like, no, Pikachu, like take him to the Pokemon Center.
Would it remind you of like Ash? When you would watch the show and Ash would be like all sentimental, like Pikachu,
Pikachu, yeah,
and then Pikachu's like Pika, Pika,
Pika, Pika. Yeah, man, you know, and I say that, you know, as a kid who went through a lot, man, like Pokemon's special to me, you know. It was literacy. You have to follow instructions. You have to read about the different types of, you know, nourishment you can give your Pokemon, right? The different moves, the types of power, the types of Pokemon. Is it a water type? Is it a fire type? Is it a psychic type? Is it a ghost kind? So it was a very enriching experience. And I don't think I realize it now, but that's perhaps why I ended up teaching English, because it allowed me to have a very versatile linguistic ability, you know? So, yeah, man, Pokemon. Hey, shout out to creators of Pokemon and anyone who let their kids play video games, because it kept me off the streets, bro. It kept me off the streets. My mom was very strict, you know? I have a very, you know, very like traditional Salvadoreña mom who's like very like, nah, bro, you're not gonna do that. And you're like, all right,
yeah,
mom, cool.
Mom.
All right, mom, like, please.
Don't hit me with the chancla.
Yeah, don't hit me with the chancla, mom.
So, who would you say was your role model growing
up? You know, I've thought about that. Like, I thought about that a lot, you know, and every time, like, I think truth, you can bend it and you can choose to remember some things and not other things, which is what makes us scary as a human race, right? That we can rationalize almost anything, whether it's like a fact or a delusion. But in truth, man, to be honest, and I really hope she sees this, I think my role model was my mom, dude. Honestly, even though, you know, I didn't have her for the first 7 years of my life, she wasn't around. When we finally met, you know, I got to experience like her as a human being, her as a person, and like all of like her pain, I guess, because she passed a lot of that down to me, and you know, it's fine. But really, dude, my mom is the strongest person I know. She's weathered so many storms in her life, but she's never given up on me. She's never given up on my sister. She's such a she's a very strong person, dude. She's like the strongest person I know. She's been through like, damn, she's been through so much. Like I think without realizing it, I became her, you know, like I think, which is why I'm a big advocate of like, I don't believe in toxic masculinity, you know, I don't believe in machismo, I don't believe in like, you know, like the tough guy who wants to like, no, bro, like get off my couch, bro, that's my couch.
Right, the intimate oppressor. And so, you know, I want to talk about that a little bit, because to all the young men out there or older men, like, we got to make a change. I hate seeing the way that my mom had to live her life. And this is actually a very sentimental point for me. I got to see my mom be abused, and for her to stay in that relationship because economically speaking, that was the best thing she could do for her kids. So in a sense, she sacrificed herself, bro. She sacrificed the better love that she could have found somewhere else, the better life, for her 2 kids. And I say 2 kids, she has 3 kids, but my older sister, she was already out, right, by that time that I was born and my little sister was born. But my mom put up with so much, bro. And I just want to tell everybody, especially all the males viewing today, let's not hurt our women. Let's make sure that we propel them up. Let's love them. Let's empower them. And ultimately, we could only do that if we change ourselves, bro. If we change ourselves and we stop acting out in toxic masculine ways. There's nothing wrong with masculinity.
Right.
I love football. I love working out. I'm quite manly myself. Just kidding. But I think there's ways to express masculinity in a way where it's not hurtful to others.
Yeah, yeah.
And we need to be able to tap into that.
Yeah, I agree 100%, bro. Like, you know, I always say this. Well, first of all, thanks for sharing that, man. In my opinion, dude, it's okay to be nice. It's okay to be kind. It's okay to not sweat the small stuff. It's okay to, you know, love your kid, hug your son, you know, like, you don't have to control your daughter's life. You don't have to control anyone's life, you know. And I don't know if I don't know if anyone out there can relate, but if you can relate, I urge you, you know, to love yourself first, so that you're not putting, like you said, that toxicity, that negativity on others. Because ultimately, the ones who suffer really, besides the people in that relationship, right, are the kids coming up next, the next generation. And that's what we call intergenerational trauma, right? Where it becomes like the next generation has to suffer the consequences of this drama and trauma, and we carry it forward. And it's like, nah, like, it's our job to stop that. How do we do that? We heal, whatever method you have, like yoga, I don't know, the gym, right? Just meditation,
and
church,
just a couple things.
Church, whatever, bro, whatever you got to do, but stop hurting your kids. Stop being a tough guy. Take it from
from
men.
hurt people,
from hurt boys, men
that had to fight through that,
yeah,
and who have actually struggled in committed relationships because we saw this male figure that didn't know how to love his woman in a way that was nurturing.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that I could change about myself, is to become a lot more of a nurturing human being. But, you know, that's a whole different conversation at that time.
And, you know, because we're grown men now, right? And because we're educated, everything, take it with a grain of salt. What I mean by that is, like, don't take this personal, right? Like, if you're a guy out there, take this as a W. Take this as sacred knowledge, you know? Reach out to us. Right, because I can definitely see men out there like, man, F these guys. Like, who do these young, privileged, educated guys think they are? Like, nah, bruh. Nah. Like, you want to have a real conversation one-on-one with us where we can really get to the nitty-gritty? I'm sure you've been through some stuff. I for sure have been through some stuff. We're not just sitting here, like, on our pedestal, like, you know, like places with like $1 million in our back pockets, talking about like selling you an empty dream. Like, we've been through the stuff we're talking about, bro. Like, I've seen abuse, we've experienced trauma. This is more like a plea to end the cycle. You feel me? Like, we love everybody, bro. From like the tough guy to the sad guy, everybody deserves love, but abuse is not mandatory. I'll leave it at that.
Excellent. Well said. Transitioning back to our video gaming talk.
Yeah.
You told me a little bit about like your favorite game as a kid, as Pokemon, and I feel that. I used to love trading the cards, and they were awesome. And actually, just yesterday, a student showed me a Pokemon card. I turned it around, and it was exactly the same. They haven't changed at all, so it definitely took me back.
Yeah.
Made me feel special. Yeah. It was a great conversation with the kids. But what game today would you say is your favorite 2019? Favorite game, and why?
Yeah, you know, I gotta be careful with this one because
they're listening. They're gonna get you.
Hey, but you know what? I believe in being your most authentic self. So my favorite game as of right now is Fortnite.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is because I recently started playing. Right, I've only been playing it for like I think 6-7 months or so. I'm starting to get pretty decent. I'm getting eliminations now. I'm knocking people, hitting the little Fortnite. We hit those. The zipline snipes. Fortnite, dude. The teamwork, the collaboration, the communication, all the little like small things like drink a slurp juice. Here's a med kit. Here's a bandage. Here's a quad. Here's a plane.
It's very strategic.
it's super strategic and it's so multi-dimensional, bro. Like the building, you gotta build. Apparently, I need to work on my 90s. I don't even know what that is, bro. The only 90s I know is 90s hip hop, you know? So, Fortnite for sure. But that's not to say that can't change.
Right.
It can change, you know. I'm excited about. There's a game coming out called Apex Legends, or it came out.
It's actually out already, right?
Yeah, it's out. Apex Legends. So I'm excited to be trying that out. Just having fun, dude. Fortnite, SGN Battle Royale. Subscribe.
At the end of the day, that's what video game is all about, right?
Yeah.
Is creating friendships,
Yeah.
is having fun,
Yes.
and ultimately just getting to know people,
Yup.
right?
100%.
So, you have a channel.
Yes.
You just plugged it in. Scholar Gamer Nerd. He just crossed his 1,000 subscriber mark. That's so freaking cool, bro. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you. You already know that. I asked you earlier about
Yeah.
SGN and why you started that. Beautiful reasons.
Yeah.
And perhaps there's a parallel between that question and this following question.
Yeah.
And why you started SGN, and why did you choose YouTube as the website where you're uploading most of your content?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think that even though YouTube has ramped up its requirements for monetization and content creation, I still believe it's a strong platform for people to develop and grow their channels. As far as the digital content creation, most of my students are on YouTube. Most of them are not on Twitch. Most of my family is on YouTube. Most of my family doesn't know about Twitch. So that's not to knock Twitch, because I do have a Twitch and I plan on growing it, but I think YouTube is a strategic platform for me right now. Mostly a question of accessibility. That's really why. Just accessibility. It's familiar to me, but again, like, I'm gonna expand on Twitch and whatever keeps coming out, because it's important to, I think, be relevant and up with the time. So it's just a logistics.
Okay, fair enough.
Reason.
And so it's evident to me that SGN is growing exponentially.
Yes.
And so I imagine that as a result, because of some success, some haters are beginning to rise out of the cracks. If there's anything you have to say to them, how would you respond to a hater?
Yeah, haters are definitely there. They manifested in multiple dimensions. We'll just say that. You know, to be honest, my mom taught me to stay humble. And so my first response is like, no response, you know, just like ignore the haters, right? But my second reaction, you know, would be to talk to them and really ask them, like, yo, what is it exactly about this SGN movement that you don't like, you know? And before doing that, I would explain to them what SGN is, right? Which is a movement, an organization at some point that wants to empower kids from the hood, that wants to empower kids from the struggle, you know, that wants to empower a random kid from Kentucky who has a dream to come out to LA, you know, and become a professional esports player. A kid who's been bullied their whole life in South Central, who believes in digital content creation, who wants to create art, and they believe that they can take this skill and make a living out of it. You know, a young boy who wants to buy his mom a house because he's never had a house. Like, that's what I'm doing it for, right? That's what we empower ourselves by being scholars, right? That's why we have fun. That's why we nerd out in every area of life, right? It's all about wisdom, good vibes, and creativity. So if they're against that, I literally have nothing to say to them but have a nice day. Like, I wish you the best, you know, because that's what SGN is. No matter how you slice it and dice it, SGN is for kids who have big dreams. It's for anyone, but particularly kids from the struggle who no one wants to give a chance to. You know, like your outcasts, Your kids who like everyone gave up on, or who are like, yeah, shut up, kid. No, like this is for them. So if that's who they're against, then my natural instinct is just like, you know what, like stay in your lane and I'll stay in my lane.
Right. Essentially, you are extending some hope to otherwise possibly hopeless kids. And so if you're against SGN, you have no soul.
He said it, I co-sign it. I mean, honestly.
wait, when you first started your channel, what did your students say?
You know what, bro? Like, obviously, I'm 29. We work together. You know me. I'm a pretty goofy person. Like, I'm always like, "What's up, dude? Like, just a great day to be a bulldog." You know,
right.
Like, I'm always like, "Great day to be alive. Great day to be a scholar." So I'm a pretty like animated individual, which some people view as like, "That's weird. He is too happy. Why is he that happy?"
Mister, you got too many positive vibes with you.
Mister, bro, you're too positive, dog. Like we want to be sad, bro. Nah, to be honest, man, like most of the kids were like showing love. Like they were like, "Yo, that's cool that you're doing that." In fact, dude, some kid from a different school in Watts told me the other day. All right, we were playing online. I've never met this kid, bro. We've only streamed online, right? High school kid. He's like, "Yo, like honestly, like you inspired me to start my channel." Like me, bro, this like old man, right? I'm this 29-year-old man, inspired a 17, 18-year-old to start their channel.
Right.
I got my really good buddy from high school, right? He has an 8-year-old son, right? Whom I was streaming with last night, actually. And he wants to be a YouTuber. And he thinks it's like the coolest thing, which I feel bad. Like I'm like, dude, I'm underperforming here. Like I'm not Ninja, bro. I'm just like a regular person. But kids are loving it, bro. Kids are loving it. Yeah, you have your doubters here and there. You know, your cool kids, right? Who are like, that's whack, right?
Right.
But like, guess who ends up like loving you the hardest when you make it? It's the ones who hate you the most when you haven't made it.
Truly. So, I mean, you've kind of spoken towards this, but what type of support has SGN received, both locally, maybe perhaps at the nation level, and even maybe international?
Yeah, dude. So, just off the top, I mean, gosh, like the support has been incredible, dude. Like everywhere. So locally, obviously, my students, my friends, my family, they've been all about it, like buying hoodies, putting stickers on their consoles, bro, or their bikes or their skateboards.
That's hard.
Like,
That's
I'm
hard.
like, yo, you put a sticker on something that you own, like, thank you. Like, that means a lot to me, you know? Like, it's like we're now family, you know? So locally, I mean, the support has been everything, you know? And then at the national level, I've connected with a professional chess player who teaches chess to kids.
Wow.
From Chicago. Shout out to Windy City Chess. I hope you see this, brother. And you know he wants to purchase one of the buttons that I'm going to drop soon, right? As far as shout out to SGN Vibey, Ryan. He's a PC player, very talented, excellent communicator, very professional kid who has a vision, wants to help me take it to the next level. So we're in conversations. I've never met him, but we've been emailing back and forth, you know. So he's on the East Coast or Midwest. We have another kid from Wisconsin who's like super pumped. We have Mendo Lit. Shout out to Matthew Mendoza from San Diego. Like I never met the kid. He's like, yo, like I want to help this grow.
It's so beautiful, bro.
And last but not least, Tokyo Butter 23. Shout out to Tokyo Butter 23. Like homie's trip out, bro. He's a British born educator who lives in Japan, Tokyo, Japan, and right, that's already cool. Up top, that's cool, right? Like he's I don't know what they call it, principal, headmaster. I don't know what they call it out there, but a principal, right? And homie does sneaker reviews, like for like Jordans and SBs. Like he's a sneakerhead.
Sick, bro.
And he has a channel called Tokyo Butter 23. Hops on my stream every now and then. We kind of show each other love. We support each other's content. So like, I mean, it's like LA County, America,
Japan.
And Japan, Asia or Japan, I guess.
Beautiful. So, one thing that I definitely want to use this channel as is as a way to be able to provide something tangible to our audience, so that as soon as they leave this show, they're able to either practice this or think about it later on, and essentially enhance their life. What is something tangible that you can give our audience today?
Tangible. Do you mean like a life skill or
simple? I mean, you can take it as that.
Yeah. This is a good question. Are we just in general like? Sorry, dude.
It's okay. So for me, I would say like tangible is a principle that you can apply in life, and you're gonna be able to see something material come out of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think a life lesson or a principle that I would like to share is something I read in a book titled Write Like This. It's like an English composition and rhetoric book, and it was shared by Kelly Gallagher, who's an excellent educator, and he was sharing his personal story. And I believe this is like a famous quote, but it was new to me, and it goes like this: if you want to live a peaceful life, don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. Like that I'm like,
right.
And yeah, dude. So I'll say it again: don't sweat the small stuff, comma, and it's all small stuff.
Right.
Like that's it. Like don't sweat the small stuff, dude.
And that's so beautiful. I hope you guys practice it as soon as you leave this show. This is my guy again, Angel Hernandez, scholar, gamer, nerd, an amazing individual. Brother, you're gonna make it. And I'm so proud to say that we started together co-teaching at Jordan, at ACPA, in Watts. We're going one-on-ones. Amazing. Whatever happens, man, you're a brother for life. I appreciate you. You're very inspiring. You've inspired me personally. And onward, baby. Let's get this bread.
Hey.
See you guys later.
Later.
By the way, guys, if you want to be able to directly connect to either one of us, you can follow us on our social media platforms. I have both Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me at drippy_jflow, and you can follow my guy, Scholar Gamer Nerd, at
Scholar Gamer Nerd.
Awesome. Please, guys, don't feel like we won't hit you up. I'm willing to talk to anybody. Direct message me, etc. I'll see you guys soon. Ciao.
Later.